Today, we are going to talk about the future, specifically about moving from high school into college or from high school into the workforce. In the next two slides, we are going to look at the specifics to transition from high school to college and high school into the workforce. For college, we are going to look at the steps needed to be ready for college and how to make the transition smooth. Then for work, we will talk about finding jobs that interest the student and how to work with a job coach. Then for both, we are going to discuss how to help a student advocate for themselves, either in college or in the workforce. For college, we want to make sure that we are thinking in the proper direction of what the student wants to do for their future. If college is their goal, then we want to start working on learnings that will focus on independent problem solving and self-advocacy that will be needed to help this happen. The student must be involved in every aspect of this planning. Research on successful IEP transition planning emphasizes students as an active agent in the process so they may authentically contribute in IEP meetings. In this concept of transitioning, the student has to be able to explain what their specific disability is. They will want others to understand what supports that they will need to succeed, and in college, they will have to do it themselves. They will have to take the responsibility. The student will have to be the face that the disability office sees. What supports will the student need now that they are going to college? This is up to the student. They might find that they need someone who can take notes for them, or they will need a tutor in certain subjects. They may also need to meet weekly with a teacher. If the student is planning on living on campus, they might need to talk to housing and explain that they need a single dorm. That way, there is an aspect of privacy that is happening. So what are the steps that will need to be taken to apply and be prepared for college? First, and this goes back to the first point made, the student needs to look at what they would like to do after college. Once that is decided on, then we can look at different programs that colleges have. This will help to narrow down the selection of schools. Then, once the application process is complete and the students have been accepted, it is essential to look at financial aid and work towards obtaining grants, scholarships, and/or loans. It can be a tedious process, but this is important. Then finally, the student will have to make themselves known to the disability office at the school. With that, they will need to provide a document from the doctor stating what their disability is, and then it will be up to them to make a case for the supports that they will need. It will be vital that we start now on how to advocate for themselves and make cases as to why they will need the support. If college is not the way the student wants to go after high school, then there is the workforce that can be joined. The same question needs to be answered. What does the student want to do? Once that is figured out, then it is easier to start helping the student narrow down on what sort of job is appropriate for them. When can they start working towards the goal of joining the workforce? The fun part is that it can start while the student is in high school. It is essential for students with high functioning autism to start developing hands-on work experience with jobs that happen after school hours and summer jobs. This can help the student understand what they might like to do. They can try different things and see what they may enjoy doing. These jobs can be paid or they can be unpaid. Some programs can be provided in the school setting, and with that, students can get a job within the community that they can have a job coach to help them understand the needs that are needed for them within that job. We have a goal to start teaching students what they will need to know in the job force while they are in school. one of the most critical aspects that we can do is to teach the student how to stand up for themselves. If something it is something that the student will need to do when they are in college or in the workforce. It is not going to be easy for them, but what we can do is run through scenarios that will help them understand what they might find when they are in college or when they start to work. The more that the students are prepared to stand up for what they need, then the transition from high school to college should go smoother, and the transition from high school into the workforce should go smoother. Now, what is self-determination? Self-determination starts with the student understanding what their disability is. They understand that in some respects it will affect how they learn, but that it does not stop them from learning. The student will need to understand those effects and learn how to overcome them or use them to their advantage. Once they understand the effects of their disability will have on learning, they will need to pinpoint what supports are needed. These supports will vary according to the student, and they will have to learn what works for them and what doesn't. However, they do not have to go after it alone. This is something that we can work on while they are in school. Once they understand what is needed, we can help them learn how to explain and share what they need. Once the student can explain and share what their supports are, then they will be able to share what they need from others to achieve success. It is essential that students feel determined to succeed in what they want to do for their future. Many supports can be found within the community to give support to both students and the families. Support groups, church groups, early intervention centers, therapists. Church family will be one of the most important supports that can be found. Luke 18:15-17 says, "People were also bringing babies to Jesus for him to place his hands on. When the disciples saw this, they rebuked them. However, Jesus called the children to him and said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these.' Truly, I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." No matter what frustrations you will find, it is vital that we, the team, remember that the student is a child of God. We must teach them to not forget the love of family, friends, and most importantly, the love of God. For family support, there are numerous websites one can go to. The Stanford Children's Health website that is given is an excellent place to start. Then, of course, Church Family is another source that will give help and comfort and love to everyone. These resources, I suggest looking at the websites that are listed for more information, just to help understand and to guide you a little further as we start looking through this idea of transitioning. And if you have any questions on where the information is from, this is the websites that I chose and the articles that I read from. Thank you.